Hi, Hamish Conway here, and welcome to TACOS Tuesday, the place for the best Amazon ads tactics and strategies. And with me again is Sebastian Hargraves, the head of advertising at Sell Global. Welcome, Sebastian.
Thanks, Hamish. Good to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So we are now up to episode 16, and tomorrow begins, tomorrow as we're recording this, but Tuesday for the release of the podcast, it's the start of the extended Black Friday Cyber Monday event, the two-week window. That's correct, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
it's going to be a busy day for you and the team navigating that. Hopefully, our predictions on day one being busy, and then it'll probably slow down a bit between that. But look, through this time, you're going to be getting a lot more advertising data. Many people will be spending more, which is going to give them more meaningful data and just the sheer volume that'll be coming onto the platform. It's a really interesting time, and you can even make some quick changes as you go. And today we wanted to talk to you about a really key topic. It's something we do as a core part of with every client. We are doing what is called single keyword campaigns. And so today we're going to talk about why you need single keyword campaigns and how you can go about implementing them actually relatively quickly. And this is what's so good about this is that this will help you maximize what is already working. You know it works, and now this is about how to amplify that. So Seb, let's dive right in. So what is a single keyword campaign? Can you define those particular terms?
Yeah, cool. So a single keyword campaign is where we have a campaign with a single keyword. And what we mean by single keyword is, for example, if we had the term electrolyte powder and we had that keyword, electrolyte powder, or that word inside that campaign by itself with no other words in there, that was what we'd call a single keyword campaign.
Right. Yeah. So it's not literally a word, a single word. It's a like a search term there.
Single
that
phrase, yeah.
A single phrase there, but it's just that in its own campaign. And so to be more specific, it's sponsored products, it's exact match type. Yeah. And what else to kind of more clearly define it? Or is that it?
Yeah, so sponsored products, it's exact match. No, that I think you nailed it. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Sponsored product, exact match, and it's normally we only do this with what we call a single product and a single ad group. So you wouldn't
Yeah.
have multiple ASINs. You just have a single ASIN in there, and you'd also only have one ad group as part of this setup.
Yeah, good, excellent. Okay, so and this is easy enough to set up, and Seb will run through how to do that. So, look, what is the goal of having a single keyword campaign?
Yeah, so the ultimate goal is just to maximize sales. So there's a few different ways that we do that, but that is the ultimate goal, is just to increase sales.
Okay, because look, the opposite here is people, like, we often talk about the right structure and people having too many search terms and too many SKUs all in one bundle into one campaign, which means that you can't control, where the spend's going, right? And you don't know what to ramp up or ramp down. So that's kind of the opposite to a single keyword campaign, is a campaign with multiple SKUs and multiple search terms and under the same budget there. Okay. All right. So why do we use it? Obviously, we want to maximize sales, but why do we do this?
Yeah, so the way that we maximize sales is, this is kind of comes down to the why here, and you touched on some of it there. But there's three main reasons. The first is placement control, and I'll come back to that one in a second. The second is budget allocation, and then the third is ranking. So on the ranking side, Amazon is a search engine at the end of the day. So people go in and search for what they're looking for, and there is advertising that's displayed, but there's also organic ranking or free placements that show up that you can get sales from. So we use advertising as a vehicle to improve our ranking. So one of the ways that we use single keyword campaigns is when we know that they're really important, we want to use them to help boost our ranking, because that will boost the amount of organic orders we're going to get, which will make sure that we get more sales. The second is the budget allocation. Obviously, these terms that we've deemed that are relevant, important, generating sales, we don't want them to run out of budget. So we want them to have their own budget, which is why we have them in their own single keyword campaign. And then the third reason, which is around the placement control. We talked about this on our last episode, but basically placement control, if you guys remember from that last episode, we have top of search, rest of search, and product pages. Now, when you have a lot of search terms grouped together, you don't know which search terms are going to perform in which placements. For example, you may have five, just to keep it simple, you may have 5 search terms that are performing really well on rest of search and 1 search term that's performing really well on top of search. Now, if that's happening and you have all of those in the same campaign, because you control placements at a campaign level, you won't be able to optimize your placements because if you optimize for top of search, you're going to be only optimizing for that 1 search term that's doing well at top of search, and you won't be optimizing for the other 5 that are doing well on rest of search. So those are the 3 main reasons why we use it.
So you can split them all out and go, right, this is where we want this product, the search term on this product to be. Yeah. Okay, good. Hopefully this makes sense for everyone. Good. All right. Now, how do people know what is the right search term keyword for them to do this with?
Yeah, so keywords that qualify for a single keyword campaign, you definitely don't want to do it for everything because it'll just create a whole lot of work and it won't get you like that much additional value. So what you want to do single keyword campaigns on are ones that have high volume and very high relevancy as well. And so what we mean by that is obviously high volume. If this is a term that you've been advertising on in the past, you should actually have data to help you know like what your best search terms are. If you need to know where that is, you just go and download your search term report. In your search term report, you'd be able to filter your search terms by orders to figure out which ones are getting the most amount of orders. And that would give you a good indication on, where are most of your orders coming from, and then ask the question, is that a relevant term? Most of the time it will be. You're not going to get a lot of orders from something that's not relevant. And so, it's really going to be relevant. But the most important thing is it's got to have a lot of volume behind it to justify, having its own budget and campaign.
Right. Yeah. That's the key. All right. Now, how do you actually go about setting this up?
Yeah, so I mentioned before just on like the search term report. So the first thing that I would do on setting one of these up, go find what search terms that you're already performing really well on. Grab those search terms, or and there won't be many. It might only be 2 that qualify for a single keyword campaign. If you've got a really big catalog, maybe it's a lot more, but in general, it won't be a huge amount. You want to go put those, launch new campaigns, and we always put in our campaign names SKC, so the initials SKC, and the reason for that is we want to know that those campaigns are single keyword campaigns. And so you want to put the search terms in there with, like I said, 1 product in there, and you can do 1 or 2 things. You can either negative match them out of your old campaigns, or you can just make sure that your bids are set higher than the bids from your old campaigns to make sure all the traffic goes to that 1 campaign. Basically, you want to make sure the traffic goes to that and doesn't go back to your old campaign that had the old keyword in there.
Okay, cool. So that's good. So the search term report, finding that, and then so you know which ones it is, and then you're going to set that up. Okay. Now, what about the bidding side of things? How much should I bid? Because obviously we want this to win. How do we bid?
Yeah, so you could use, like I said before, just making sure your bids are higher than if you had that same search term in a different campaign. You could use the bids from that to use those bids as a benchmark and basically make them sure they're higher than that bid. You could also use your historical cost per click, which you get by just taking your clicks and dividing it by your impressions. By your spend, not your impressions. And so that'll give you your cost per click. And so you'd be able to work out, and if you looked at that over time, you might see where some places your cost per click performs better than other places. Like maybe when it's higher, it performs a bit better, as in the ACOS is lower and the ROAS is better. And then maybe some places where it's lower, it performs better. But you'd be able to use that to give you a bit of a guide. So that would be what I'd use. I'd either use the cost per click historically, or I'd use the bid that you had in your other campaign, and then just make sure it's higher than that.
Okay, yeah. So, mate, yeah. So you want to make sure it's higher, and again, just we need to do a whole episode on bidding. But let's say it was $2.38 for this particular search term. Historically, you've now set up this exact campaign. What would you put that bid at, and why? And maybe just remind people around the whole bidding process.
Yeah, so if it was $2.38 and there was no placement modifiers, remembering every campaign
Yeah.
can have a placement modifier, you just have to make sure it's above $2.38, and then that would be fine. If there was placement modifiers in there, that's when things would get a bit messier because you have a whole lot of search terms in there and you're not sure, how that's working there. But if you have placement modifiers in there, let's say you had a 10% on top of search, you'd just add your 10% on top of that, and then it would be, it would be that in the new campaign.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, you're putting it up, say $2.50 there, but that doesn't mean, or even if you bid $3, that doesn't mean that that's what you're going to be paying, right? It'll just be whatever if you're the highest bid and that's $2.51, well, that's what you pay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it is a second place auction. So that means that if I bid $3 and one of my competitors bids $2.50, I will actually pay $2.51 as for the click. So I'll pay 1 cent more than what the next bid is below me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, and there's a bit of testing here, right? And this is one of the key things that you and the team are doing all the time, is looking at bids and looking to make adjustments. It's one of the bigger parts of the job, right? So it's not a set and forget anyway. It is, right, let's use this as a starting point and then go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly with single keyword campaigns, because placement's probably going to play a huge part and role in how you perform. Generally, top of search is where you're going to want to spend most of your ad dollars, because that is going to be what gets you. Generally, it's like at the highest conversion rates, the highest click through rates, and everything like that. So that's going to have the biggest impact on growing your organic rank. But you may get to a point where you realize that keyword you can't rank on because it's just too competitive or too expensive, in which case you might shift a little bit with the way that you approach your advertising.
Yeah. So what if it is really competitive? Just happens to be the category you're in. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so even if it is competitive, sometimes it's worth it still. It depends on how much your organic rank improves. If you don't think you have an offering that's good enough to compete at top of search, you may then look at using a rest of search, where it'll be much more affordable at rest of search or product pages than it would be at top of search. Generally, you wouldn't do that with a single keyword campaign, but that by at least identifying that, at least you know that you can't compete at top of search, and then you're taking control rather than not having control and just letting it run by itself.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah, just to know that, because many people, particularly in the States, it's going to be very competitive, and this again just gives you control where you're going to be putting your ads, and also being honest and around, is this a product that I believe can win and rank, based on all the factors of reviews, price, the value equation, and uniqueness, and what have you. So again, this is about amplifying, right? Amplifying what's good, and it's not going to work if the product isn't one that people want to buy. We just have to keep on coming back to that, reiterating that, because it's it doesn't change. Great. Okay, so let's so single keyword campaigns. Have a look at your search term reports, see which search terms are performing really well, but and then put them into their own campaign. And might have to listen back on this again. Tell us how it goes. I mean, this is just such, we were going, well, what are some examples? But this is just core to what we do all the time. So it's hard to pull out any one particular example, but this makes a huge difference, and it's just low-hanging fruit, quick win that you can get even right now as we head into this busy period. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And again, if you like this episode, hit like, subscribe, follow, all of those good things, and we're much appreciated. So we've only got another maybe 4 weeks until the Christmas break, and I know Seb and I are going to take a couple of weeks off anyway. So we'll make these final ones coming up. We'll review 2024. We'll look ahead to 2025. But thanks so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it, and have a great TACOS Tuesday. TACOS tonight, maybe. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Seb. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Hamish.
All
Thanks,
the
everyone.
best.
Bye.